Maybe. Okay, hello, everyone. I am Rose Pond, and I am so filled with joy to have you here joining me this morning in my Live Courageously, Live Vibrantly community. My mission is really to just empower you to feel the confidence that I didn't feel for so long, and really to live courageously, live vibrantly, fully embrace and experience joy and really adventurously follow your passions and feel your very best inside and out and just really live a life that you really freaking love, right? I am so excited to be introducing you to my friend and my fellow entrepreneur, Elisa Robyn, and she has a lot of degrees. She is a very educated woman. She's got a PhD in educational psychology. She has 2 masters, geology and Jewish studies. And she also has 25 years experience in as an academic dean and a background in astrology. And I have to say on a side note that she's also written one of my what has come to be favorite books. And if you don't know me that well, I love, love, love reading and I love books. And this one, it's called Dark Fire. Is it The Dark Fire or Dark Fire?
Dark Fire.
Okay, Dark Fire. And it is amazing. She brings in all of her background of the psychology, of the astrology, of the Jewish studies, all this, right? And she puts it into an incredible, moving, fun, entertaining fiction novel. It's got vampires, right? And it was also one of the most helpful personal development books I've ever read. Her imagery of ancestral healing changed me. I'm gonna cry. It changed me in how I look at my life and how I look at healing and everything. So it's incredibly powerful. And I've also had the pleasure to work with her on doing some chart readings. And this is something that has always been in my life. My parents are very into it. I've not really sought it out myself. And her chart readings have been very different than any other readings I've gotten in the past. And she was able to really quickly and simply open my eyes to patterns in my life and how they serve me and how they don't. And opening my eyes on how to really live my life to the fullest and seeing things just in different perspectives, which has been very moving and very healing. Before I read you a little caption she sent me that I think is super powerful, I would love for you who are on, I see some of you on, hello, drop where you're tuning in from. I love seeing where everyone's tuning in from. I'm from snowy Colorado. Elisa, Denver, right? Denver area. Yeah, snowy there as well. So drop in the comments, but I wanted to read this to you because I think it's pretty powerful. I also find it pretty entertaining. So I'm going to read this. She cannot promise you better self-esteem or self-confidence, right? We got to figure that out on our own. She cannot promise that life will be easier, that you will always be happy, or that your faith will deepen and carry you through the darkness. But she can promise you this. If you have always wondered why the rules of success and happiness have never really worked for you, you're not alone, right? Can we all give a hand raise to that, right? Like who's been in that situation? Drop me some comments. Let me know if you've ever felt this before. There is a wonderful path for you, and she's going to help you discover, embrace, and walk it as you live life on the loose. I love it. Okay. I love it.
Wow.
Okay, so we've got someone from Nebraska. We've got 2 people from Vancouver, Washington, and it's sunny in Vancouver, Washington. Well, that's very special. It is not.
It's not here.
No. Okay, so Elisa, please.
Okay.
Tell us a little bit about yourself and what got you on this path.
So, my path has been, I kind of talk about it as sometimes circuitous, just sort of around about. Sometimes, though, I relate it to when you're climbing a mountain and you have to go up switchbacks. So it never looks like you're actually, in fact, you never are. You're never pointed at your direction, but you're still making progress. And it isn't until that very last switchback that you're like, oh yeah, that's where I'm going. So I feel like that's been a great deal of my life. I was I grew up in a house where I had a haunted bedroom. I could see ghosts. I would have prophetic dreams as a kid. I had tarot decks. I mean, this stuff just kind of happened. I went away to college, majored in geology, got a bachelor's and a master's, and at that time, I kind of put away that the tarot. I kind of shut it down. You're in a hard science world. It's hard to also have that part of you. Worked in the oil industry. That was a time period I refer to as having sandpaper on my soul. And when I left that, I went back, I got into a PhD program in educational psychology with zero prerequisites. Just talked my way into it. And I had to put myself through school. So I brought back the psychic, the tarot, and became really, really like immersed in astrology at that time. So that's how I put myself through my PhD. Then I get into academic, I've got dean jobs. Again, I'm putting some stuff on the side, but I'm really learning more and more about astrology as sort of my side hobby. And along the way, I learned this kind of astrology called evolutionary astrology. And when I discovered it and looked at my chart through that lens, my whole life made sense to me suddenly and opened up for me like why I was here, what I should be doing. A lot of sort of discomfort and shame from the past, I just let go of. I'm like, oh my gosh. Evolutionary astrology talks about what is the karma from a past life, but not the Western view of karma. This has nothing to do with punishment. It has nothing to do with if you stole a horse in the 18th century, somebody's going to steal your car. That's not it. What are the habits that you developed that didn't actually work well for you in a past life? And how are you still using those habits now? And how are they holding you back? And what you came here to do is undo those habits and create new ones, right? Because these are the parts of that past life that didn't work.
And I love this.
Yeah.
This was transformational for me too, right? Of just even hearing that was so powerful to me. This is, okay, so keep going. Sorry.
So the Western view of karma, right, is very punishment oriented, right? You messed up, right? Oh, I did something good, maybe something good will happen. And in this notion, karma is, for example, let's say you did steal a horse in the 18th century, 1800s. You're more likely to be the person stealing the car because that's your habit. And it worked then. Why not now? Now, you could have been a great person and got tons of things right in that past life. This is like a tweak. You need to come back and change this habit, right? So for me, this is such a powerful awareness because we approach ourselves and others with such compassion, right? So like imagine that you met somebody who had been maybe in foster care until they were 10, they had trouble with school, then they finally get a great family and things seem fine. If they tell you they have an issue with trust, you're going to come to them with compassion because you're going to understand the past that they didn't have control over. Maybe even they got adopted at 2 or 3, they barely remember those first couple of years. That had an impact on them. And so we approach others with compassion when we look at it this way, right? And we approach ourselves with compassion. And I think that changes a great deal of it.
And I think that's huge, right? Especially I'm very focused on self-care and self-love and self-compassion. How do we bring more of that into our lives? Because most of us don't, or not enough of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I love that this this is giving us another tool in
Mm-hmm.
which to look at life and ourselves in a different perspective,
Right.
and to give ourselves more of that self-compassion, to be able to look through the lens of self-compassion.
Mm-hmm. So the notion in this kind of astrology is that something went wrong in that past life. So even, I mean, just imagine, you did everything right, like you took care of sick people in some past life, right? But you forgot to have a life,
Mm-hmm.
right? I mean, that could be one. Maybe you really did things that weren't good in a past life. Okay, we got to change that pattern. You could have been the victim. There's a lot of victims, from Holocaust and concentration camps and whatever. How do you reset your soul in this life?
Mm-hmm.
Not blaming you for ending up there, for gosh sakes. Or maybe, like, can you imagine, like, there's some little guy in Pompeii working at a little Pompeii restaurant, Vesuvius goes off, and that can't be right. Like, you got to come finish your life.
Mm-hmm.
So it isn't that you're set up to be punished. And it also says the universe is not here to mess with you. The universe is never punishing you. It's driving you to that new habit, that new way of being. And where we see it in a chart is the south node and the north node of the moon. Okay? So let me just explain what those are. If you think about the moon going around the earth and the earth going around the sun, twice a day, the moon will cross the orbit of the earth. Okay? And that, on the south side, it's the south node. On the north side, it's the north node. The south node has come to be known as your past. Right? There's a gift in there. If you were a really good horse thief, you're good at assessing the environment and seeing where you're safe, and maybe you're kind of quick-witted. That's a gift. You keep that gift, but you have to use it in a different way, right? And so you can. So there's both a gift, but you have to look at what is the habit that's no longer serving me, and how do I change that? I go to my north node, okay? And my north node then is what my soul's craving. My soul came here to get to that north node. And it doesn't talk about being a doctor or a lawyer or a plumber or raising horses. It talks about the habits, the way you live your life, not necessarily what you do, right? But how, and what are the blocks. So I think in your chart, we saw things about fear of loss, not being very specific, right? But like, do I deserve, right? You'll see people, in fact, my chart is very harsh, which is why this was so powerful for me. You can see where somebody possibly was trying to stand up for others, was killed. Maybe they were in a war, and you obviously can't say you were in World War II in a concentration camp, but you can say that's like a metaphor for where you were, right? This is the puppy misbehaving, I just have to say. The noise in the background is a 108-pound Newfoundland puppy who's just a little bored, so excuse it.
Oh, 108-pound puppy. That's awesome.
Yeah. We're 15 months old and we're wondering why nobody's paying attention to us. So you can find this in a chart, and you can go pretty deep, and you can then say, what will help you? What is the thing? What is the thing to focus on? What is the thing to let go of? And when you're changing any habit, anything, exercise, eating, I mean, anything, right? It takes a while. And in fact, the astrologer that I studied with, that I've studied his stuff, who's really the expert in this, so sometimes we're not ready until we're like in our 40s or 50s. Our karma has ripened, but it's not until then that we're really ready to face it, which is kind of an amazing thought. It's like, no, it's not too late. You're right on time.
I love that. I love that.
So,
Yeah, and I know for me, one of the big eye-opening things is um, that there was a lot of control
right.
for me, right? And I love the analogy that you use, especially since, the Highlander Overlander, whatever the
Yeah.
series
Whatever
is
it
right
is.
now,
Yeah,
the
right. Yeah.
Highland series, right? Whatever it is. Um, that that was basically the picture that you wrote of like your husband's away at war, you're taking care of not only the house but the kids, the animals, the like everything, right? And you just there has to be this level of control that you need to do this, you need to do, but
Right.
in this life
You
i
don't need
don't
to.
i don't
Right.
need to.
Right.
Don't need
But we're
to.
so used to it, right? Here's our habit,
Right.
right? And what you'll see when you talk to somebody, inevitably, I know it happened with you, it happened with me, it happens with almost every one of my clients. I start talking about the past life, and they say, "Are you sure that was past life? Because that's happening now."
Yeah.
So maybe not as extreme, but it's happening because we have to remember. I got to remember the habit. I got to see how it's not working so I can change it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So what I'll do, run a chart the way any astrologer runs a chart. Now these are Western charts. I know nothing about how the Eastern, either Asian or Indian way of running a chart. In the Western world, we run a chart. You need your birth date, time, and place, and you'll get the regular chart, right? And I'll start with sort of the sun and rising, and then I go into the nodes, and you can read this story, and it's a tapestry. So my south node is in Cancer, for example. Okay, that gives me a little bit of advice, of information. It's in the 8th house. That gives me a lot of, right? It's at a right angle to Mars in Aries. Oh my gosh. So you're building this story. The south node is what happened. The north node is the cure. North node in Capricorn in the 2nd. I have no idea what's going on down there, but I'm just going to ignore it for right now. I'm sure she's misbehaving. So if you hear banging, just right. I think this. Okay. When you have a toddler in the house and you're on the phone, this is what happens. So the 8th. So North Node in Capricorn, the 2nd house. Okay, that's how I fix this. Oh, it's ruled by Saturn. Saturn is at a right angle. I mean, you just get all these pieces and you pull them together. Okay? You just pull them together into this interesting tapestry that weaves the entire story for you.
Mm-hmm.
So I love doing this work. I mean, I absolutely love it because it's changed my life. Right? And I don't, because it can kind of go through. But if people know their charts, if they run their chart, and you can just run a really easy chart on one of the free apps, it'll always show her the north node. To find the south node, you just look directly opposite. And right, if you have a south node, for example, in Aries, there was something to do with fighting or war or fear. It could be a woman dying in childbirth. I mean, any kind of thing like that, right? If it's in Cancer, it's something more emotional that happened, some way that your heart was broken and you had to take care of others and now you don't know what to do about not taking care of others. If it's in Scorpio, it easily could be that there was intrigue, that there was danger, that there was something. Everyone thinks Scorpios are all about sex, and I love that because all the signs like sex, or all of our parents would be Scorpios.
Right.
So Scorpio is passion, right? And they can be the detectives. If it's in Aquarius, for example, you were a rebel in a past life. in some way. And maybe that didn't go so well. So somebody's asking, what if you don't know the time you're born? So what you can do, because you want to get close. So my first advice is to look at your birth certificate. If you don't have an official birth certificate, you can usually get one. It'll show the time. If you can't get that, if your mother or somebody in the family is still alive, you can sometimes get close. They'll say, I missed breakfast. Or, I was eating dinner and we had to go to the hospital and there you were. So now we know it's evening, right? And it's at a certain, so we can at least get close to it. And then once we're close, we can play with the chart. But the time is just really important because it nails so much down.
Gotcha, that's a great question. Yeah, and please drop questions, you guys, as you're listening to this and all that. Please feel free to drop questions. This is a discussion.
Another interesting way that you can use this work is to run a composite chart in a relationship. So person one, person two, if you overlay their charts, it's a synergy chart. His moon is sitting on your Venus. That's really good. I mean, you can do that. But you can run a chart that combines them. It's called a composite chart. And that composite chart will have a north and south node. And then it tells you about the relationship and in the past, right? It isn't that you were married in the past. That's not the idea. But if you're in any kind of fairly committed, intimate relationship with someone, there was some karmic something the two of you are probably addressing, okay? For good or bad. And I told people this. They're always like, do you think we were married in a past life? I'm like, one, I don't know. And two, that's not necessarily a good thing because we don't know how it went.
Right.
But we can at least see what comes up for both of you in this relationship. And I found that to be really, really powerful in my relationships.
I didn't realize you did that.
Yeah.
I will be booking my next session. That would be really interesting.
Yeah, and it's really interesting.
Yeah. So I would love for you to give, since we can't do people's individual charts and all that, can you give another example or two as far as what that north and south node could look like? And also what I love that you did in my readings is that it wasn't just, okay, here's the past pattern and here's how you can release that. You also really pull in for us entrepreneurs. You do pull, right. And not even for entrepreneurs, but I mean for us entrepreneurs, of what that looks like what that could look like in our business, right? Of what path can we be taking that's going to serve us best. And so I don't know, just since we can't do specifics, if you could just do so people can kind of get an idea of how life transformational this is, right? And just like get their heads wrapped around it a little.
Okay. So, one of the reasons I can do this other work is I was an academic dean for 25 years. I spent all that time, I was teaching in the psychology area. Psychology of money was one of my big ones. So money is something I can absolutely talk about. But I was mentoring students. I was mentoring faculty. I had graduate students who were applying for jobs. I was mentoring them. So I worked as basically a professional mentor the whole time I was a dean. And I'm running a college, so I'm dealing with budgets and so I understand money. So that's an easy piece for me to link in. What you see in a chart is where is like the fear? Where is the piece that is, so let's say you've got a south node in the first house. You probably had to be in charge to be, right? Or you just decide to be in charge. First house is about ego, it's about self. But often it is, I have to do this, right? I have to make sure I'm controlling stuff. What's the healing? The healing is the opposite house, the seventh house. Who are you in relationship? how do you begin to trust relationship and be in a different way in relationship? And you'll see people, the guy I'm with right now, first house, south node, north node, seventh house, very different relationships before he was with me. Second house, south node in the second house is typically the house of money. It's also the house of self-esteem because money is about resources. How do I feel about my life? How do I present myself in the world? How do I act? How do I dress? You can think about them as developmental cycles almost. Baby, first they figure out they're them, and then second, right? Opposite second house, eighth house, south node, I was doing the other way, north node in the eighth house. Really digging into your own, the unknown parts of yourself. Eighth house is all the scary things, all the things Freud said we shouldn't talk about because Victorians didn't want to talk about them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or that we should, right? So death, other people's money, sex, intrigue, eighth house. South node, third house. Were you not allowed to talk? Were you not allowed to express? Were you not allowed to speak? Right? North node, ninth house. Explore, try new things, learn, give yourself a way to explore that. So with the south node, you're always looking at the darker side, and it's the north node, the positive side. So for example, my south node, like I said, is in Cancer. Cancer is a lovely sign, but what's the dark side of Cancer? That's the south node. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
If it's in your fourth house, if the south node is in the fourth house, home was dangerous. Maybe you died in childbirth. Maybe you were stuck at home and you wanted to travel and you couldn't. You wanted to build a name for yourself. Where's the north node? North node is in the 10th house. Reputation. It can't be career, but in the positive, it's building a reputation for yourself. Mm-hmm. It's building something that you get to stand on.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Fifth house is really funny. Fifth house is the house of fun. And you find somebody who's got a south node in the fifth house, and they were not allowed to laugh, not allowed to have fun, not allowed, right? It's the house of love affairs on I don't know if that's positive or negative. But it's a definite, it can be the house of children. It can be that, a lot of things. Mm-hmm. But somebody who's very, tight, like they're not allowed to laugh. They're not allowed to make friends outside. They're not, it's very, very restricted. Where do they find release? 11th house. Social groups, different tribal groups, different communities. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Where am I? Sixth house. South node in the sixth house. You are seen as like the servant. You're always taking care of other people in some way. You're the teacher, you're the nurse, right? 12th house, the solution, the 12th house is to go sit on the mountain and meditate. Go find your own spiritual path. Stop teaching. Okay? And then if we keep going, we kind of reverse it, right? 7th house, south node. Oh, you were trapped in a relationship. We know tons of stories like that. What do you have to do? First house. Who are you? Who are you? For women, this is a big one. Who are you? Sometimes we don't know until we're in our 50s. Who are you? I just want you to know that the noise behind me is a Newfoundland puppy destroying a music book. I'm pretty sure. That's what I'm pretty sure.
Oh, geez.
Because I was silly enough to keep them on the piano bench. 8th house. South node in the 8th house, that was a challenging past life. That was a scary past life. That was a past life where you were in danger. What do you come here to do? 2nd house, build security. Just build security. I've had people say to me, I can't believe that you spent 25 years. You're like so eclectic, and you did the academic dean, and you were at a Jesuit institution for a while. I'm like, I don't know what you think about me, but I knew what I was doing. I was building security. Once I got to security, okay, let's go back and be an astrologer.
Yeah.
Before that, okay, I can hide parts of myself because I want the security.
I love this.
9th house, maybe you travel. Yeah, so you can see how it keeps going. I can finish it kind of quick for you because I know we're running out of time. Ninth house, um, maybe you were like an educated person, or actually maybe it's also religion. Maybe you were a priest or a monk or somebody captured by religion. Third house is the house of the heretic. And so you come in this lifetime to be a heretic. It's lovely, right? In a lovely way. Okay.
All right.
10th house. 10th house, again, we think of it as career, but it's also reputation and fame. So imagine somebody who was, I don't know, their family was the prominent family in the 1800s in Boston or something. Nobody remembers them now, okay? But everything they did was observed and part of, and a way you're supposed to behave, right? Well, how do you get rid of that? You go build your own foundation for yourself. So there's always the opposite, okay? There's always the opposite. 11th house, community, we call it friends, but it's really like Facebook friends, like community, group. Were you controlled by the group? What do you have to do? Try having fun. Try discovering what you like. What do you enjoy? And 12th house, maybe you spent all your time on the top of the mountain. And now it's time to come be the teacher. So you can see how, as we move around, right, the opposite house, and then of course it's the sign and the sign that planet's attached to, and what other planets, what all the other planets are doing in your chart. So it's a tapestry. But that's sort of the first little piece of it.
I love this. And yes, everyone, this is being recorded. It will be, I'll post it. I'll even make it super easy to get to. I'll post it in the guide one so you can just get there easily. But yeah, this is very, very awesome information. And I know that we are a little, that we're getting close to our time. So does anyone have any questions? Questions. And if not, I'm just so thrilled that you were able to pop on and
I love
offer this. I mean,
I love talking about this. Yeah. You know, if you want to do it in the future and have a specific chart, though, if you're not an astrologer, it's hard to talk about other people's charts. Everyone wants to know their chart.
Yes.
Right. And I was going to let people know that I'm usually $150 for a session, but if they contact me and mention this, I'm doing them for $120 a session. So there's a discount with it.
Awesome.
Right. And they can find me on Facebook. Like, I'm everywhere. You can find me on Facebook and on, not Twitter anymore really, but TikTok and Instagram and LinkedIn. And if you just put my name in there, Elisa Robyn, my website will come up, and it gives you tons of information. And my blog is there and everything else.
And she is tagged in the event. So to make it easy, I'll also do another post with her tagged for sure. And you can just go straight to her messenger. And I'll actually put a link to your messenger as well. Awesome. I'll do that to make it super, super easy. And if you still can't figure it out, which is fine, just connect with me and I will get you, I will set you up in a three-way, and we'll, not that type of three-way, but.
It's actually really fun, you know, sometimes when your best friend is on while they're talking, because our tendency is like, I don't do that. And your best friend's like, excuse me. Yes, you do.
Yes, you do. Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. Alrighty. If there are no other questions, thank you so, so much. I hope that your downstairs is not utterly and completely destroyed.
You know, I can already tell that those old piano books, and the piano tuner is coming today because it's so out of tune. So I guess it's time for a new beginning under this Mercury retrograde for my piano playing. Yes. Yes. I think the old books might be destroyed.
Oy. All right. Well, thank you so very much. Thanks to everyone who's joining, and for those of you in the replay, thank you so much. Definitely drop.
My email is elisarobyn@msn.com. So it's really easy.
Perfect. All righty. Well, everyone, enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks for joining, and we'll see you later. Thanks, everyone.